Our hero's name is Nick. He goes to his sister Margot's bar and has a drink with her to celebrate the family holiday, because it's his 5-year anniversary with Amy. His spouse is a beautiful, rich, and very intelligent woman. Soon he returns home, but his wife is nowhere to be found and the glass coffee table is broken. The man is frightened and calls the police. Detective Bonnie and her partner arrive on a call. The investigators interview Nick. It turns out that his missing spouse has a pile of degrees, a passion for reading books, and a correspondingly high intellect. The cops thoroughly inspect the house. During the examination, we learn the curious fact that the car, bank accounts, and even the bar are in the name of the missing wife. In Amy's underwear drawer, Detective Bonnie discovers an envelope labeled First Clue and a riddle inside. Detective Bonnie asks Nick about the strange envelope with the writing on it. The man explains that it is part of a Find the Gift game Amy set up to celebrate their anniversary. The clue leads to the office of the university, where our hero is a part-time teacher. The second clue refers to a house of some kind. While Nick is pondering the puzzle, the detective finds some beautiful underwear in the room. When asked by the detective whose underwear is it, the embarrassed hero gives no intelligible answer. Investigator Bonnie catches Nick in his dead father's vacant house. The man hurriedly spins another envelope for some reason, and says he came in here to see if everything is all right. Nick then gets into his car, reads a clue from his missing wife, and slams his hands on the steering wheel in a rage. The next day, Bonnie goes through the couple's bills and shopping list. Then the detective notices that the house is missing many of the very expensive items listed on the paperwork. The parents of the missing heroine hold a press conference with numerous journalists, which looks more like a PR campaign than a tragic event. The topic of Amy's disappearance is currently the main sensation on TV, because the woman served as the prototype of a famous heroine of children's novels. In the TV show, the presenter says that it is very suspicious that Nick, who is supposed to look like a murdered husband, on the contrary smiles at all the people. After that, even Margot begins to suspect that her brother is hiding something from her. A young girl, a student at the university where Nick lectures, quietly knocks on the door. It turns out that the man has been having an affair on the side for over a year, in addition to planning to divorce Amy. The hero and the girl spend the night at his sister's house. Margot is furious, because if the cheating gets out, her brother will become suspect number 1. Nick admits that Detective Bonnie has already found someone's panties in his office. A search of the couple's home leads to unexpected results, as blood traces and a palm print on the floor are found carelessly scrubbed. At another press conference, Nick reiterates that he had nothing to do with the crime, and that he is actively cooperating with the police. The man's speech is interrupted by their neighbor, a close friend of Amy's, who claims that Amy was pregnant. The police then escorts the hero home, rescuing him from angry people. Detective Bonnie shows Nick a list of expensive purchases made with Amy's credit card. However, the man says that he did not buy these items and has never even seen them. When the investigator asks why he recently increased his wife's life insurance, the hero replies that his wife asked him to do it herself. Plus, a call from the hospital confirms Amy's pregnancy. After this cornered Nick decides to answer further questions from the detective only in the presence of a lawyer. The man is visited by his sister, and she again accuses him of deception, to which Nick replies that it was Amy who did not want children. Nick then shows her as proof documents from the fertility center where he deposited his seminal fluid for storage and analysis. It turns out that his wife ignored all his requests for a child. The detectives re-examine Nick's father's house. They go down to the basement, where they find Amy's burned diary in the oven. It describes everything that has happened to the missing woman since she met Nick. Their first years were spent in love and harmony. Then the heroes lost their jobs and had financial problems, because of which they had to take money from the funds set up by their parents for their daughter. Because of his mother's illness, Nick insisted on moving to his hometown. The spouse began to spend a lot of money on expensive purchases at the expense of his wife. Nick became fond of drinking at the bar Amy bought for him. The man stopped paying attention to his wife, and she wanted a child so much. One day Nick went wild and pushed the heroine, after which she began to seriously fear for his own life. So Amy bought a gun and kept it under her pillow. While the detectives read the diary with the revelations of the disappeared Amy, Nick deciphers his wife's last clue, which hides the place where wedding anniversary gifts await. A man opens the old barn on his sister's property and is horrified to see dozens of expensive and unnecessary purchases. Here we are shown that Amy is alive. The girl has staged her own disappearance to make the police think it was a murder committed by Nick. Amy, secretly from her husband, has formed a pseudo-friendship with a neighbor with many children and a scandalized woman, to whom she constantly talks about her abusive husband. Amy created the appearance of financial problems, and then increased her life insurance by asking her husband to be the one to sign for it. And Amy's pregnancy is also a simulation, created with the help of her pregnant neighbor's urine. On her wedding anniversary, Amy waited for her husband to leave, then carefully staged the crime. She broke a glass table, poured blood from her vein onto the kitchen floor, and purposely wiped it carelessly as if it had been wiped by a man. The final chord of the brutal setup was Amy's fake, but highly believable diary. The heroine, who has obvious mental problems, wanted to mold Nick into a perfect man for herself. However, instead, her husband returned to his small backwater town, cooled off to the girl, and even had an affair with a young pretty student. Amy withdrew a large sum of money from her account, changed her appearance, and then went to a neighboring state, where she rented a cheap house. Meanwhile, Nick shows her sister her find, a multitude of expensive items hidden in her private barn. Among these things lies a card, which ironically says that his wife has prepared a special gift this year, a trip to prison. Margot tells her brother that he married a psychopath. Nick realizes that he is facing capital punishment. He goes to see a famous lawyer named Bolt. Nick tells him a seemingly fantastic story with a setup from a distraught and jealous wife. The lawyer is happy to defend the hero, because the disappearance of Amy is trumpeted in all the media. Nick visits one of his wife's former boyfriends. The man tells Nick that Amy lied to him, accusing him of a crime that never happened. Amy tried to reshape the man for herself, but then became disillusioned with him. Now, as we see it, the victim is Nick. Meanwhile, Amy, who introduced herself by a different name, is playing miniature golf with young neighbors Greta and Jeff, and accidentally drops a roll of cash. Later, they visit Amy at her rented house, beat her up, and then take all the cash. This ruins any further plans the wife has had. Amy sees her ex-boyfriend, Rich Daisy, who is still crazy about her. The girl tells the man a legend about her husband who used to beat her. Daisy believes the girl and takes her to live in his house. When the naive man is absent, Amy scrutinizes the blind spots on his house's video surveillance system. Later, on television, Amy sees a show with Nick, who plays the role of the innocent husband so well in the girl's disappearance. Because of this, the girl herself seems to fall in love with Nick all over again. After a while, a distraught Amy comes up with a new devious plan. In the dead zone of the video cameras, she obliges her leg with a rope, soaks her underwear with red wine, and then crawls to the window under the camera lens, where she supposedly screams in pain, cries for help. A little later, she seduces a naive Daisy and opens his throat with a stationary knife. Then Amy deliberately drenches herself in blood, which floods the entire bed. Detective Bonnie arrives at Margot's house with a warrant to search her barn because of an anonymous phone call. The police find many expensive purchases and arrest Margot for complicity in the crime. At the interrogation, Bonnie's investigator shows the man Amy's fake diary. The hero says that the beginning of the love story is true, but the beatings, his unwillingness to have children, and the threats are all lies. Nevertheless, the investigator charges the man with murdering his wife. The lawyer gets Nick and his sister out on bail before the court hearing. In the morning, the hero wakes up to the noise of a car. Nick goes outside and sees his bloody wife in her underwear falling out of the car. Amy ostensibly reaches her husband with the last of her strength and then collapses in her arms, losing consciousness. At the hospital, Amy tells the FBI agents her version of events. Allegedly, Daisy's crazy man kidnapped her, beat her, and tortured her all these days. Nick brings his spouse home. The girl says that after seeing her husband play on a TV show, she fell in love with him all over again. Later, at a press conference celebrating Amy's miraculous rescue, the maniac gets into the image of an almost saintly woman who forgave her spouse for the sake of their love. 2 months have passed and Nick is forced to play the role of a happy husband in public, but in fact he sleeps in the other room. Psychotic Amy says that marriage is the pain, and then tells the hero with the news that she is pregnant by him. She took Nick's biomaterial from the fertility center. This is the end of the film. Thank you all for watching. Please like this video. Write in the comments what you think of this movie, and see you in new videos.